Okay. Uh, so today's lecture we'll be discussing the third, fourth, and the sixth cranial nerve. As we have discussed every time, how to describe a cranial nerve under following headings, it has to be done. Okay. So these are the various headings under which we describe a cranial nerve: functional components, nuclei, intraneural course, appearance on brainstem, intracranial course, exit from the brainstem, extracranial course, branches, and applied anatomy. Okay. So let's check the functional components. The functional components of the third, fourth, and the sixth cranial nerve. It is general somatic efferent because only two muscles of the head neck face they develop from somites. One is the muscles of extraocular muscles of the eyeball, and second is the muscles of the tongue. So 3, 4, 6, and 12, these cranial nerves will have this component, general somatic efferent. General somatic afferent component is there actually shown in these nerves, but then what happens is that actually the afferent is carried by the mesencephalic nucleus of the trigeminal. So ideally the general somatic afferent should go under the heading of trigeminal, but yes, this here also we can show. So 3, 4, 6, and 12 will have two components: general somatic efferent for the muscles developing from the somites they supply. Only the third nerve will have an additional component. Only the third nerve will have an additional component, and that additional component is general visceral efferent for the muscles of the iris. Okay, so third nerve, apart from general somatic efferent and general somatic afferent, third nerve will have general visceral efferent also. You know, general visceral efferent component is for that component. General visceral efferent component is for parasympathetic supply, if a nerve is a part of the parasympathetic outflow. So third function component of the third nerve, general somatic efferent for all the muscles of the eyeball except superior oblique and lateral rectus. General visceral efferent for the muscles of the iris and ciliary muscle. General somatic afferent for the proprioception of above muscle. Same will be held true for the fourth cranial nerve, general somatic efferent and general somatic afferent. Okay. So general somatic efferent will be for superior oblique muscle. So fourth now only supplies superior oblique muscle. Sixth now only supplies lateral rectus muscle. It will only have two components: general somatic efferent for supplying lateral rectus muscle of the eyeball and general somatic afferent for proprioception of the above muscle. Now let us see the location of the nuclei. The third nerve nucleus is located at the level of superior colliculus of midbrain. So third nerve in midbrain, this is how it arises. There are two nuclei you can see here. One is the third nerve nucleus, oculomotor nucleus, and another nucleus is Edinger-Westphal nucleus. So this is for general somatic efferent. Edinger-Westphal nucleus is for general visceral efferent. Fourth nerve nucleus is there at the level of midbrain, but at the level of inferior colliculus. Okay, it is at the level of inferior colliculus, and it is, you can see if you compare this with the third nerve is coming out of the brainstem from anterior aspect. Sixth nerve is coming out from the brain on a brainstem from the anterior aspect, but fourth nerve is the only nerve which is coming out from the posterior aspect, and the fibers are decussating, they are crossing each other. Okay, So fourth nerve is the only nerve which arises from the brainstem on the posterior aspect. Arises from the brainstem on posterior aspect. Then going to the sixth nerve. The sixth nerve is from the lower pons level. The nuclei is at the lower pons level. You can see here the sixth nerve nucleus, and then this is the seventh nerve, which is going around the pons. Okay, so sixth nerve is deeper. Sixth nerve nucleus, abducens nucleus, is deeper to the facial colliculus. Is deeper to the facial colliculus, and is at the level of lower pons. Ticks coming out from the anterior aspect. Okay, so nuclei of the third nerve is at the midbrain superior colliculus level. Nuclei of the fourth nerve is midbrain inferior colliculus level. The nuclei of the sixth nerve is at lower pons. Now let us see this. Here is the posterior aspect of the brainstem, where we see the floor of the fourth ventricle and we see the facial colliculus. Deep to the facial colliculus is the abducens nerve nucleus and the facial nerve fibers. So now let us see the intraneural course. The third nerve nucleus is passing anteriorly through the red nucleus and coming out like this. Fourth nerve is going posteriorly and crossing and coming out from the opposite side. Sixth nerve is crossing through the medial lemniscus and through the basilar part of the pons. And this is how the third nerve is arising from the side of the crus. Fourth nerve from the medial side of the midbrain. Fourth nerve is arising from the lateral side because it is coming from the posterior aspect. And sixth nerve is here at the junction of pons and medulla. So this is how the appearance on brainstem. You can see here the third nerve is on the medial side of the brainstem. Fourth nerve is on the lateral side of the brainstem. And sixth nerve is at the junction of pons and medulla. So appearance on the brainstem: third nerve side of crus, fourth nerve posterior aspect of midbrain, sixth nerve junction of pons and medulla. Now each of these nerve, moment they come out, they pass through a cistern. Now what is a cistern? Cistern is a dilatation of the subarachnoid space. So the third and the fourth nerve pass through interpeduncular cistern. Now what is interpeduncular cistern? The interpeduncular cistern is formed this area by the crus cerebri posteriorly and optic chiasma anteriorly. Here the subarachnoid space dilate, and this place is called as the interpeduncular cistern. Sixth nerve passes through the pontine cistern. Now what is a pontine cistern? Pontine cistern is here. Here is the pontine cistern. A dilatation of a subarachnoid space is here. That is a pontine cistern. So all of them pass through a cistern. Third and fourth pass through interpeduncular cistern, and sixth now passes through pontine cistern. Then they further pass through, from cistern they pass through cavernous sinus. All these three nerves, after they come out from the brainstem, their intracranial course is as follows. They pass through a cistern. From cistern they pass through cavernous sinus, and then they pass through the superior orbital fissure, and then they enter the orbit. So this is the diagram of the cavernous sinus. This is the diagram of the cavernous sinus. In the cavernous sinus, in the lateral wall, we see the third nerve and the fourth nerve, and in the medial wall, we see the sixth nerve. So third nerve and fourth nerve in the lateral wall, and sixth nerve in the medial wall. Okay. So this is how the nerves will pass through the cistern, through cavernous sinus, through superior orbital fissure, and then to the orbit. Now this is the diagram of the superior orbital fissure. In the superior orbital fissure, this is the medial part, this is the lateral part, this is the intermediate part. So in the intermediate part, we see this nerve nasociliary and two branches of oculomotor, ANO, abducens, nasociliary and oculomotor, and lateral is LFT, liver function test, lacrimal frontal trochlear nerve. So laterally LFT, intermediate part ANO. And in the lateral part, there is the superior branch of ophthalmic vein, and inferior branch of ophthalmic vein is there in the medial part. Other inferior ophthalmic vein is in the medial part, and superior ophthalmic vein is in the lateral part. So this is the orbital fissure. This orbital fissure is divided by a tendinous ring into medial part, intermediate part, and the lateral part. So exit from the interior of the skull to the orbit is through the superior orbital fissure. So the third nerve passes through the intermediate part of the superior orbital fissure. You can see here, third nerve comes out through the intermediate part of the superior orbital fissure. The sixth nerve also comes out through the intermediate part, and the fourth nerve comes out from the lateral part of the superior orbital fissure. Now, course in the orbit, the third nerve supplies all the extraocular muscles of the eyeball except SO4-LR6, that it is also supplies the muscles of the iris and ciliary muscle, the superior and inferior branch. Branches of the fourth supplies only superior oblique. Branches of the sixth supplies the lateral rectus. Okay, so fourth and sixth only supply one muscle. So applied anatomy of a nerve, how to test, how it gets paralyzed, what are the effects of paralysis and treatment. So in cavernous sinus thrombosis, because they pass through the cavernous sinus, in case of a cavernous sinus thrombosis, we see the third, fourth, and the sixth nerve may get paralysis. Because the third nerve gets paralyzed, there is ptosis, lateral squint, loss of accommodation, loss of light reflex. If the fourth and sixth get paralyzed, it will cause diplopia. If only sixth get paralyzed, it causes medial squint. See, the sixth now supplies lateral rectus. So looking on the lateral side. So if it gets paralyzed, there will be a medial squint. There are many other syndromes called as Weber syndrome and all. So that also we have to remember. So again, I'll do a very fast revision of 3, 4, and 6th cranial nerve. This is how we describe functional components of a cranial nerve. The third, fourth, and the sixth, they have general somatic efferent and general somatic afferent as the two components, since they supply the muscles developing from somates. Only third nerve has an additional component, general visceral efferent. Now we'll see the functional components one by one. The third nerve will have general somatic efferent, general somatic afferent, but it has one more additional component, general visceral efferent, that is for the muscles of the iris and ciliary muscle. The fourth nerve has general somatic efferent, general somatic afferent. Their general somatic efferent component supplies the superior oblique muscle. Only one muscle. Fourth nerve supplies only one muscle, while the third nerve supplies all muscles except for these two muscles supplied by the fourth and the sixth, SO4 and LR6. Superior oblique, which is supplied by 4, and lateral rectus, which is supplied by the sixth. It also supplies iris and ciliary muscle, third nerve. Fourth nerve, only SO, superior oblique muscle of the eyeball, while the sixth nerve supplies lateral rectus. LR is lateral rectus. So it has only two components, general somatic efferent and general somatic afferent. So this is the location of third nerve nucleus. It is at the level of superior colliculus of the midbrain. And it has one more nucleus. It has two nuclei. One is the oculomotor nucleus and another is the Edinger-Westphal nucleus. Edinger-Westphal nucleus is for the muscles of the iris and ciliary body. The fourth nerve, it is at the level of the lower part of midbrain, that is at the level of inferior colliculus. This is the sixth nerve. Sixth nerve arises at the level of lower pons. So at the level of lower pons, there is the seventh nerve, which goes around the sixth nerve and forms the facial colliculus. So below the facial colliculus is the sixth nerve nucleus and fibers of the seventh nerve. Okay, so nucleus of sixth and fibers of seventh are below the facial colliculus. So the nuclei of third nerve at the level of superior colliculus of midbrain, fourth nerve at the level of inferior colliculus of midbrain, sixth nerve at the level of lower pons. And this is the posterior aspect of the brainstem, where we see the floor of the fourth ventricle, where we see the superior colliculus, and here we see the facial colliculus, and here we see the inferior colliculus and superior colliculus. Intraneural course of the third nerve, it passes anteriorly, passes through the red nucleus, and then comes out on the side of the crus. So it comes out through the medial aspect of the crus, while the fourth nerve it crosses each other and comes out on the posterior aspect and then eventually comes out of the lateral aspect of the crust. 6 now passes anteriorly through the medial lemniscus and then through the pontine nuclei through the basal part of the pons. This is how brainstem anterior aspect looks like. So you can see the third nerve coming out from the side of the crust and the fourth nerve coming out from the lateral aspect of the brainstem, third nerve coming out of the medial aspect of the brainstem, sixth nerve coming out at the junction of pons and medulla along with the seventh and the eighth nerve. So appearance on the brainstem, you can see the third nerve coming from the medial side of the crust, fourth nerve coming from the lateral side of the crust, sixth nerve at the junction of pons and medulla. So third nerve, medial side of crust, fourth nerve comes out of the posterior aspect of midbrain and then comes at the lateral side of crust. Sixth nerve is at the junction of pons and medulla. Then after that they enter the cisterns. So the third and fourth they enter the interpeduncular cistern and sixth enters the pontine cistern. Course. From the cistern it goes to the cavernous sinus. From the cavernous sinus it goes to the superior orbital fissure and then it goes to the orbit. So in the cavernous sinus, the third and the fourth nerve, they lie in the lateral wall of the cavernous sinus, and sixth nerve lies in the medial wall of the cavernous sinus, in the medial aspect of the cavernous sinus. That is, this is a coronal section of the cavernous sinus. After that, they pass through the superior orbital fissure. In the superior orbital fissure, the superior orbital fissure is divided into three parts by the tendinous ring of Zinn. The medial part, intermediate part, and the lateral part. So oculomotor nerve, its two branches with nasociliary in between lies in the intermediate part, while abducent nerve also lies in the intermediate part. While in the lateral part, there is LFT, the trochlear nerve. The fourth cranial nerve lies in the lateral aspect. This is how they exit from the interior of the skull to the orbit. Now, course in the orbit. The third nerve supplies all the extraocular muscles of the eyeball except SO4 LR6. It also supplies muscles of the iris and the ciliary body, superior and inferior branch. Branches of fourth, they supply only one muscle, superior oblique. Branches of six only supplies one muscle, lateral rectus. Applied anatomy. In cavernous sinus thrombosis, there will be ophthalmoplasia because 3, 4, and 6, all the three cranial nerves, they pass through the cavernous sinus. So therefore there will be ophthalmoplasia. In case the internal carotid artery, which is also there in the cavernous sinus, bursts, there is pulsating exophthalmos. The third nerve will also cause ptosis because it supplies the levator palpebrae superioris muscle. Because it supplies medial rectus, in case of paralysis of third nerve, there will be lateral squint. There will be loss of accommodation and loss of light reflex. Light reflex is you take the light from the side like this and the pupil constricts. So there will be loss of light reflex. There will be diplopia, that everything appears double, and there will be medial squint. And then there is additional things that is Weber syndrome where midbrain is affected. So whenever midbrain is affected, we should understand that the third nerve, cranial nerve, will also be affected. Okay. So I will stop here. Thank you.